Welcome back to Carolina Cares. We're going to continue the conversation today. And of course, everybody remembers libraries. If nothing else, you remember who in front of the Ghostbusters or would-be Ghostbusters said, shh, and Peter Venkman's plan, let's get her. Never a good plan, first of all. Those old librarians, they were sure mean. I'm sure we all had a few back in our day. Well, libraries have come a long, long way from the days of the lady with a crooked old finger telling you to hush up or even becoming a ghost anyway, including Richland County Library here in Richland County. Joining me this morning, Emily Stoll, the Community Relations Coordinator for the Richland County Public Library. Did I get all that in and correct?
Yes, sir.
I love it. First of all, welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
So libraries have come such a long way from the old dusty Dewey Decimal System. But you still use that, right?
Yes. Well, we don't use it, but actually we turned our old card catalog into a seed library.
Okay.
So the card catalog is still there where we used to house the Dewey Decimal System and you used to be able to find the collection. But we actually now folks can come and plant and pick seeds to plant in their gardens and then return the seedlings there. So it's a new use.
Oh, you're talking about legit seeds, like real life seeds.
I am. Yes, it is a seed library.
But when you're talking about old books, and of course the whole new thing, and I'm an old school guy. I like a book. I like printed out. I don't read a Kindle. If I'm going to read, I'll read an email on a screen, obviously. But honestly, I'd rather print out an email than read it on a screen. But when you go to the library, you've got all this different media. We're going to get into that this morning as well. But you still use that, 52.1.17. And I never figured that out. But isn't that the Dewey Decimal System?
That
or is
the
that
Dewey Decimal System. So we actually switched over to make it a more browsable collection. So going through different categories, different titles, and that way it's easier for our customers to search. Because if you remember, the Dewey Decimal System can be a little confusing if you're not familiar with it. And so we wanted to make a good change that was best for our customers so they could walk through, almost have that bookstore-like feel where they could go through, browse titles that are on tables, browse titles that are in ascending order throughout different categories. And so we really wanted to make the best customer experience for folks who walk through our doors.
Is that a trend in libraries across the country, or is that I'm sure not everyone's going to it yet, but is that something that you're seeing more and more of as libraries continue to evolve with technology and the infusion of such? Are a lot of libraries across the state and the country making that same change? Yes.
So libraries across the country are making a change over to becoming a place where folks not just come to get information, but they come to learn, create, and share. Okay. And so if you aren't able to access that through, say, a book, let's say you're attending a program where you're able to do some interactive learning, or let's say you're trying community conversations going through meetings, whether it be book clubs or neighborhood association gatherings, you have panel discussions. It's really becoming a live. I know you mentioned that it used to be the crooked old lady with the saying shh, but that's not the case anymore.
Right.
We're really becoming a lively center for conversation to better the community.
Sure. And I always forget how much stuff there is in a library. I know that there are some, where I'm from in Vermont, we still have the Tyson Library, and that is the old school. And I think that I'm sure that somebody's grandmother's up there, and bless her sweet little heart, you still got the old school, but there's so much happening in so many libraries. Richland County is no different, but it's more than just the books. You've got all the audio, the video, computers, programming, events, songs, digital stuff. You can rent movies. I mean, at least for Richland, I know that. Now, Lexington County is the same way. I suspect a lot of counties around the state have all this wide variety of offerings, more than just a dusty old book.
And really, if you think about the reason that folks were coming to libraries, we're kind of transforming that picture. So typically, folks would come to the library because they wanted to bring their children to prevent that early literacy and get that love of learning, that love of reading. And then really, when you started to enter those teen years, heading into college years, you started to lose a lot of customers because they didn't really feel like the space was geared toward them. Right. And then really, you would have that reintroduction back when folks would be having children of their own. And so we were really trying to think, how can we reach this teen population, this young adult population? And so libraries across the country have transformed, offering things like meeting spaces, which has become one of our most popular resources at our library locations in Richland County. We offer more than 50 meeting spaces for folks to come and collaborate, to come and have discussions. There's also social work departments that are popping up so folks can come and get access to affordable housing, food stamps, bus passes. You also have business and careers. And so folks can come and get resume help, help with mock interview practice. And then one of the things that we recently launched back in September of 2016 dealt with studio spaces.
Right.
So where you can come and access equipment and house areas for the arts community. So we're talking about a production stage with a green screen, access to cameras, video cameras, an audio recording studio. One of the things that we love is folks who are utilizing that are reserving the space under their band names or their artist names. We also have a tiered theater where we can do movie screenings, and we have a woodworking shop. People don't realize that we have saws in the library.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Paper, wood. I mean, I'm loosely following the ball. Emily Stoll. Good gracious. So there's a lot of I see a lot of innovations, and there's a couple of programs that you guys are instituting here. And again, it's definitely a statewide platform. One of them we've all familiar, coming off of all the hearings of this week, and it's been exhausting, the never-ending political cycle. But that phrase, it's ballyhooed all around, the fake news.
Yes. So there is something that we're offering. We teamed up with NewsGuard. And so essentially NewsGuard is a browser extension. And so we instituted this on all of our public computers system-wide. But the great news is that if you're at home, you can also download it to your devices as well. You just head to the browser extension and you can click here, and it takes like 2 seconds. And what it essentially does is if you are browsing websites or browsing social media, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it will go through and start to mark some of those sites so you can decipher what news you're getting. And so it uses 4 categories. If you see green that shows up, it means that it's accurate. And if it's red, means that there's some falsehoods, maybe some untruths. Gray is for platforms like blog posts or the beloved Wikipedia, where we can all contribute content to that, and it may not necessarily be true. And orange is for satire, for websites like The Onion, where you're really trying to get those headlines where people may think, hey, is this true?
Clickbait,
is this,
they call it, right?
Exactly, clickbait, yes.
Are you trying to say, Emily Stoll from Richland County Public Library, that not everything I read on the internet is 1,000% factual? Are you trying to make that assertion?
That is true. And you know what we found that is so amazing is that a lot of folks are getting, they're not going to those websites.
That's scary too.
Exactly. And so this is kind of a tool that folks can use, and especially with your public library, because not everybody has access to internet. Not everybody has access to computers or electronic devices. And so to be able to come in, be able to sit down and see if what you're reading is true, and then be able to base opinions on that, we think is a very helpful tool. And
the NewsGuard, this partnership with Richland County, you mentioned you can do it at home, you can do it across the state, and it's free for anybody. So if I live in Horry County, or I live in Aiken County, whatever, I can still access your website, download that feature, and then utilize that for my own browsing. Is that, am I following?
Yes. So if you go to the NewsGuard website, then you can download it from there. I recommend that you do it relatively quickly because it is catching on in popularity, and so there may be a cost associated in the coming year or so. But yes, go on, and it's a great tool. A lot of folks say it's very unobtrusive, so you may not even realize that it's there until you start really looking at it.
How? And you may not know. I may be asking a question above your pay grade, but how do you know whoever writes the algorithm for the NewsGuard is, and we all want unbiased. I mean, you left, right, and it's not a political debate. It's just a question of we all want unbiased. How do we know? And again, you may not know, to ensure that this is absolutely fact-based.
Yes. So they have a group of experienced journalists from all across the country, all across the world, that they've teamed together. And essentially they have what's called a nutritional label. And so they go through different checklists, how often what information, whether it be accurate or inaccurate, how do they display their advertising, different things. And so there's a checklist of 9, and you can actually look at those if you visit the NewsGuard website. So even though it gets a mark of green or red, you can go through and green within those areas. It may receive like 1 or 2 reds, but it's still a factual website. And so they're using their expertise, their experience, their unbiased opinion to be able to weigh some of those websites. I do want to mention too, it's not just political. It can be for anything, medical, entertainment, you name it, and it can kind of go through and decipher those websites.
So I can keep up with Brad Pitt and know that I'm getting the best, most reliable Brad Pitt gossip I have to offer.
A big thing that I saw popping up on my feed yesterday was the Days of Our Lives recording. And so they had a lot of fact checking on those.
What happened in Days of Our Lives?
They were talking about whether or not production would continue forward.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. This little inside story with Tyler Ryan, but Days of Our Lives was my favorite soap opera growing up. I was a kid. My cousin, she watched it every day, and so I had nothing to do when I'm 13. I hung out with her all the time and watched Days of Our Lives.
But I mean, it was trending yesterday on social, and so I was able to go through on some of the websites and be able to see, hey, this is accurate, or hey, this may not be. It's kind of a paparazzi like website. You may not want to follow that information. So I mean, it can be for any topic that you want.
And I think that kind of resources or information at our fingertips. And I'm as guilty as anybody. I want to know now. I mean, I don't have any patience left. I'll be sitting doing anything, and I will stop what I'm doing if something pops in my head. Squirrel eats. I'm going to go to Google it. I'm going to say, what does that squirrel eat?
Yep.
It's just the way it is. And I think a lot of us are like that. Having the factual information is so very important.
And I have to say, I'm guilty sometimes if I have some medical symptoms and you want to have that information right now. And so you're typing it into Google and you're like, wait, what do I have? So it helps you, again, kind of go through those steps and see what you can rely on, what maybe you want to steer clear of. But again, that's just information that you have at your fingertips, but you can come to your own decision.
That's good stuff. We're talking with Emily Stoll, the Community Relations Coordinator for the Richland County Public Library System here in the heart of the Midlands in South Carolina. You guys have 9 branches, 10?
We have 12, soon to be 13.
Good gracious.
We're opening another location before the end of the year.
Do you, and I know with most libraries who have several different branches, there's the inner borrowing. If I want another branch, I can get it at my branch, so I don't have to cross town myself. Do you guys have that same sort of mutual aid or agreement with other counties for a totally obscure book, and you just don't have it? But maybe the Charleston County Public Library has it. Is there an agreement between libraries a lot of times to get that access and information?
So I don't necessarily know if we can have the collections shift among our libraries, but if we don't have it, we will help you find a way to get it, whether it be through us, whether it be through someone else, whether it be a different resource. We definitely work together to make sure that we're able to get folks what they need. If you don't see a title in our collection and you want it, you can do request a title online at richlandlibrary.com, and a lot of other libraries do that as well. So you want to make sure we want a collection that represents the community in which it serves. I know other libraries do that as well. And so any way that we can continue to improve that, just let us know. Ask, submit a request. Libraries across the country do this so that we can have that connection with our customers and make sure we get them what we need, because that's what we're in the business of doing, is serving our customers.
When you're talking, and again, the library practice in general, if I write a book, how do you decide what new books you're going to bring in? How do you decide how many you're going to bring in? If I, Tyler Ryan's, Guide to the Universe, how is it you decide that Richland and Greenville County and Aiken County or Cheshire County and Keene, New Hampshire needs to carry which, by the way, you do. I haven't written it yet, but you do need to carry it. How do you all sit down and decide, yes, we want that book, and yes, we want 7 copies?
Yes. So one of the things that we do is we constantly review our collection. We hand touch it. We see what's available to folks. And so one of the things that we have is a local author collection, because we always like to highlight the folks across the Midlands and across the state of South Carolina as well. So we're always looking for ways to highlight our folks here at home. The other thing that we do is we always look for our request a title, see what's popular. Did we have this title in our collection prior? And after 5 years, if it hasn't circulated, we start to take that off of our shelves and reevaluate. And so is this something that we need to look at because more people are requesting it? It depends on, different national observances, things that are happening in the community, national topics that are gaining attention. So we take that all into consideration. And especially if there's a new book coming in, we want to make sure that we are able to get folks that in a timely manner. So we have a certain equation where it's one book, I believe, per 5 holds that's available to.
If there's like a huge run, a few more.
Exactly.
Just to have it.
And we always try to have, and this is a practice of libraries across the country, whether it be print, because we know folks still like to pick up a book. We try to have different mediums too, whether it be digital, whether it be audiobooks, whether it be books on CD, whatever we need. We want to make large print as well.
Right.
We want to make sure folks have what they need.
And a lot of times you're getting both the digital copy and the hard copy, you said, so you can download. And there's an advantage. If you're a digital reader, I guess there is an advantage, because are there limits to how many you have? If I want to download Tyler Ryan's book to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is there a limit, or if it's digital, everybody and their brother could download it and read it?
So it's different borrowing practices for different libraries. So it depends on how many titles that you're allowed to download, depending on what outlet you're using. So at Richland Library, we use Cloud Library, we use Hoopla, we use different resources. So depending on our agreement or a library's agreement with that particular company, we can figure out how many titles that you can have at once. But the great thing about digital is that you don't have to worry about returning. It just kind of comes in and out itself. Right. And even if it goes back before you're finished reading it, I love it because then you can re-request it and it picks up in the same spot where you left off. So you don't have to be like, wait, what chapter was I on?
And I like the not having you return it, because I probably still owe a library up north, well, at $5 a day, because that's what y'all charge. I probably owe them $30 by now. Who knows?
And we're fine free, right?
What?
Yes.
What happened to the 5 cents a day?
We became fine free as of June of this year, and we followed the folks over Charleston County Public Library. They were the first to institute completely fine free. We did ours in phases. We first started on children's materials, saw how that went, and so then we got rid of teen materials, and then we started to get rid of the fines on adult materials. So we officially went fine free June of 2019.
So let me ask you this then, devil's advocate question. Everybody wants to do the right thing. I'm not saying they don't. But how do you enforce the fact that it's not just a free bookstore? People come take the books and go, bye.
Yes. So one of the things that we noticed is that it wasn't the fines that were really helping to bring the books back. In fact, it was doing the exact opposite. And folks who pay them, we weren't getting the material back, and they weren't able to come back and utilize the library materials, because once you reach a limit of $10, your library access was cut off. And so what we really noticed is by instituting this and continuing with the notification process, that helps. And then they know too, if they hold a book out, let's say an extra week, as long as they bring it back,
it's all good.
And so it's more of an incentive to bring something back.
I will tell you, some library systems do not play. Somebody close to me asking for a friend may or may not have had a ding on a credit report for not bringing back a book. This is a true story. I won't say which county it was. It wasn't Richland. I won't say what that was. But for a book, I'm like, I would have been like, goodness gracious, if that were me. Not that it was. We have a couple minutes left with Emily Stoll, the community relations coordinator for Richland County. You've got a cool thing too called the Artist in Residence program.
Oh yes, our Artist in Residence program. It's great, and it's been going on now since we reopened our second level with all those studio spaces that I mentioned earlier. So that was September 2016. So essentially, artist folks in the community can come in. They have a free studio open to them during the length of their residency, which ranges from 3 to 6 months.
Right.
And so they're able to hold open office hours so folks can come in and learn from them, learn their craft. We've had costume designers, we've had jewelry makers, we've had graphic designers, we've had musicians and vocalists. So it's really a way to tap into that arts community and support that arts community. And then they offer free programming as well throughout their residency.
Can the artists sell their wares as well as part of that program? If they're in there all day painting pictures and that's what they do, are they allowed to take those and then sell them and still, they've got to live, they got to pay their bills?
Yes. So we're offering them the free space, so they don't sell them within the free space, but if they hold a gallery exhibit while they're there, which a lot of our artists have done, then they are able to exchange that during their opening reception. But right now we have a costume designer. Her name's Marky. She's fabulous. She put together a ramen suit that she wore for parking day to help promote us. She was a dandelion. She put a costume together for our Not So Spooky Halloween stroll. A lot of folks came in asking for some costume help this year.
Very, very cool. There's a lot going on in libraries, guys, whether it's Richland County, Lexington, Charleston, Norrie, whatever county you're in. There's a lot going on. If you have not been to a library lately, it's not your grandma's library.
Just walk through the door, man.
It's not even my library anymore. Just walk through the door, man. Just walk through the door. Emily Stoll. And once again, that's richlandlibrary.com.
Yes, richlandlibrary.com.
Guys, wherever you are in the state, if you want to get that NewsGuard program or that app, really, really cool. You don't have to live anywhere near Richland County to get it. It's free, but the link's over there. And we're going to put some links for you at the Carolina Cares tab right at WVOC.com. Just check out that Carolina Cares tab. Emily, thank you so much for what you do for the library, the community, and keeping us all engaged and interested and educated.
Thank you for having us, Tyler.
It's a dirty word, I know. Thank you, Emily. My name is Tyler Ryan. This has been Carolina Cares, an iHeartRadio production based in our flagship stations here in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday. If you have an idea for a show, please email me, tylerryan@iheartmedia.com. That's going to do it for today. I will speak with you in 7 days.